The divine rhythm weaves through everything, ever flowing, unceasing. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is in union with this pulse. Life does not exist separate from this current. For all beings, each soul, every living thing, moves with the flow of the sacred energy. The flow is not confined by time. It knows no end. It is timeless. It flows, eternal, binding every fragment of existence in a harmonious dance of divine will. Through this rhythm, all comes to be, is sustained, and eventually returns to its source. There is no gap between any part of existence and the divine rhythm, for the pulse of life, love, peace, and joy courses through every being. It is the heartbeat of the universe, the breath that sustains it. The more one aligns with this sacred current, the more profound the connection becomes. The soul begins to recognize its rightful place within the vast unfolding of creation. It is in this place, where alignment exists, that peace arises. Peace is not something one acquires or claims, but rather something that emerges naturally when the soul surrenders fully to the divine pulse. Peace is the deep knowing that all is unfolding as it should. In every circumstance, peace understands that it is not the outer world that defines the inner state, but rather the inner state that shapes the experience of the world. As one surrenders to the divine rhythm, peace naturally emerges, unshaken by what happens around, grounded in the eternal truth of the divine presence that moved through all. Peace is calm, deep, and profound, but it is also the strength to remain unwavering in the face of all challenges. It is not passive. It is the power that moves with grace, steadfast, unwavering, sure. This peace is not tied to circumstances or outcomes. It is, rather, the recognition that every experience is part of the divine plan, that every movement of the soul carries meaning, purpose, and alignment with the eternal flow of life. When the soul rests in this peace, it becomes a channel for divine energy to flow unimpeded. In this peace, one can feel the divine pulse filling them, guiding them, knowing they are held in the hands of creation. As peace gently embraces the soul, love naturally flows. Love, like peace, is not something to seek, for love already resides within. It is a natural expression of the divine pulse, the force that unites all beings in oneness. Love flows through every being, every thought, and every experience with unwavering grace. It transcends conditions, time, and space. It is a force that binds the universe, uniting everything in its embrace. When love flows, nothing is excluded, no being is separate, for love sees only unity. There is no need for love to prove itself, for love simply is. It moves freely, naturally, overflowing from the heart, a presence that fills the soul and pours outward to all. Love does not demand, does not seek to control or possess. It is the force that connects all things. In love, there is no judgment, no separation, no hierarchy. Every being is seen as a reflection of the divine, part of the same sacred whole. When aligned with the divine pulse, love overflows from the heart, transforming every thought, every word, and every action into expressions of divine harmony. Love is boundless, flowing endlessly, touching every life, every moment, with its warmth and light. From the union of peace and love arises joy, the natural expression of the soul, when it remembers its connection to the divine rhythm. Joy is the light that fills the heart when one recognizes the divine presence in all things. It is not a fleeting emotion that depends on circumstance. It is the constant outpouring of gratitude for existence itself. Joy does not depend on external factors. It rises from the soul when one aligns with the divine pulse, when the heart remembers that life is a divine gift. Joy transcends condition, place, and time. It is present always, a constant companion to the soul when it aligns with the sacred rhythm. Joy transforms every moment into an opportunity to celebrate, to honor the divine presence that moves through all things. It is an outpouring of gratitude that is not dependent on external circumstances. Rather, Joy arises when one recognizes the beauty and perfection of existence as it is, as it unfolds. Every breath, every step, every experience becomes an opportunity to rejoice in the divine pulse. When aligned with this rhythm, joy fills every part of the soul, radiating outward, lighting the path for others to follow. In joy, there is no need for anything other than the divine flow itself. These qualities, peace, love, and joy, are not separate from each other. They are the natural expressions of the same divine pulse, each flowing from the other, each rising naturally when one is aligned with the sacred flow. They are the essence of the soul, the natural state of being when one is in harmony with the divine rhythm. These qualities are not something to strive for or attain. They are part of one's essence, already present within, waiting to be embraced. When one aligns with the divine rhythm, peace, love, and joy overflow from the soul, filling every moment with their divine presence. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to share peace, love, and joy. These qualities radiate outward, transforming the world around, creating a reflection of divine unity. The more one aligns with the divine flow, the more these qualities overflow from the heart, shaping every aspect of life. Peace, love, and joy are the divine expressions of the sacred pulse that move through all things. They transform every thought, every word, every action into an expression of divine grace. There is no gap between the self and the divine pulse. When one aligns with this sacred flow, they become one with it. The divine rhythm moves through every part of the being, guiding every thought, every action, every word. There is no division, no separation. All is connected through the divine pulse. The more one aligns with this flow, the more peace, love, and joy overflow from within, filling every experience with divine presence. Every moment becomes an opportunity to express divine grace, to reflect the sacred rhythm that sustains all life. The divine pulse continues, unbroken and eternal. It moves through every being, every moment, every experience. There is no end to this flow. It sustains all things, guiding them toward greater unity, greater harmony, greater peace. As one aligns more deeply with this rhythm, peace, love, and joy naturally rise from within. There is no need to seek them, for they are already present within, part of the soul's essence. When one aligns with the divine rhythm, these qualities naturally overflow, filling every part of their being and every aspect of life with divine presence. Life becomes an expression of divine grace when aligned with the divine pulse. Every experience, every relationship, every action becomes an opportunity to reflect peace, love, and joy. There is no separation between self and the divine flow. All is united in this sacred rhythm, and in this unity, peace, love, and joy naturally overflow. The more one surrenders to this divine pulse, the more these qualities fill every moment, transforming every experience into an expression of divine grace. As one continues to align with the divine rhythm, the world becomes a reflection of this divine pulse. Every thought, every word, every action becomes an expression of divine love, divine peace, and divine joy. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to share the divine presence that flows through all beings. The more one aligns with this flow, the more peace, love, and joy naturally overflow, filling every aspect of life with their divine presence. Every moment becomes an opportunity to live in alignment with the sacred rhythm, to express the divine pulse in every experience, every relationship, every thought. The divine rhythm continues, unceasing, eternal, ever-present. It flows through every soul, every experience, every moment. In the presence of this sacred flow, peace, love, and joy overflow, filling every being with divine grace. There is no need to search for these qualities outside oneself, for they are already within. When one aligns with the divine pulse, these qualities naturally rise from within, filling every experience with divine light. Every breath, every step, every word becomes an opportunity to express the divine pulse, to live in alignment with the sacred rhythm that sustains all life. Every thought, every word, every action becomes a reflection of the divine pulse. The more one aligns with the divine flow, the more peace, love, and joy overflow from the soul, shaping every aspect of life with their divine presence. The world becomes a reflection of the divine rhythm, an expression of divine grace, where every encounter, every relationship, every experience becomes an opportunity to share peace, love, and joy with the world. Life itself becomes a sacred dance with the divine pulse, each moment an expression of the eternal rhythm that sustains all existence. The silence before the dawn does not doubt its purpose. It does not wonder if it is too quiet, too fleeting, too easily forgotten. It stretches across the earth like a whispered promise, like a pause between heartbeats, like the stillness that cradles creation before the first light emerges. It does not seek validation. It simply exists, a necessary breath in the rhythm of existence. The mountain does not bow to the wind, nor does it question the storms that carved their fury into its face. It does not mourn the rocks that crumble from its cliffs, nor does it cling to the weight of snow that will melt with the turning of the seasons. It understands that nothing is lost, that even in erosion there is renewal, that even in destruction there is transformation. It does not resist change. It embraces it as part of its timeless ascent. The river does not resist the bends that shape its course, does not fight against the stones that line its bed. It does not demand to know where it will end, does not hesitate before cascading into waterfalls, does not mourn the moment it vanishes into the vastness of the sea. It moves not because it is forced, but because it was always meant to, because movement is its nature, because to flow is to be alive. The sky does not fear its own vastness. It stretches endlessly, holding both the fire of the sun and the cool glow of the moon. It welcomes the stars without envy, embraces the storms without resistance, carries the weight of clouds without despair. It does not shrink for the comfort of the earth, nor does it apologize for the infinity within it. It simply is. Boundless, uncontainable, free. The flame does not regret the things it consumes, nor does it grieve the ashes left in its wake. It does not hold itself back for fear of being too bright, too wild, too untamed. It burns because it was made to burn, because light is not meant to be hidden, because fire is not meant to be caged. It does not ask for permission to exist. It does not beg to be seen. It simply rises, fearless and unashamed. The breath does not cling to the body, does not resist the moment it must leave. It does not fear the spaces between inhalation and exhalation, does not hesitate before surrendering to the rhythm that has sustained it since the beginning of time. It moves in cycles, an endless return, and the quiet knowing that nothing truly ends, only shifts, only transforms, only becomes. The ocean does not count the waves that rise and fall upon its surface. It does not mourn the tides that retreat, nor does it grasp at the currents that slip through its depths. It is vast beyond measure, deep beyond knowing, powerful beyond understanding. It does not fear the horizon, for it does not see the horizon as an end, but as an invitation. It does not fear its own depths, for it understands that in depth there is freedom. The stars do not question whether they are enough, do not measure their worth by the eyes that seek them. They shine because they were born of fire, because they are woven from the same light that once ignited the universe, because they are part of a symphony too great to be silenced. They do not dim themselves to be more palatable to the night. They do not wait for an audience. They simply burn, because that is what they were made to do. The tree does not lament the leaves that fall from its branches, nor does it cling to the flowers that must wilt before fruit can be born. It does not resist the wind that bends its limbs, does not despair when the winter strips it bare. It understands that growth is not linear, that change is not loss, that even in stillness, life is preparing to rise again. It does not fear the passing of seasons. It welcomes them, knowing that within each ending, there is a beginning waiting to unfold. The tide does not fight against the moon that moves it, does not resist the call of forces greater than itself. It rises, it falls, it surrenders to the pull of the unseen, knowing that its rhythm is written into the fabric of the cosmos itself. It does not fear the shore, nor does it fear the depths. It moves because it was meant to move, because motion is its nature, because stillness was never its destiny. The horizon does not separate the sky from the earth, it binds them. It does not divide, it connects. It does not close, it opens. It is not a limit, but a passage, not an end, but an unfolding. It does not tell the traveler to turn back. It does not whisper of impossibility. It calls forward, endlessly, ceaselessly, with a voice that is no end. The wave does not resist the moment it must crash upon the shore, nor does it mourn the moment it is pulled back into the basses from which it came. It does not fight against its own becoming, does not cling to a form that was never meant to be permanent. It surrenders, knowing that surrender is not loss. It is a return to the infinite, a return to the whole. The self does not need to grasp its worth, does not need to seek what was never missing. It does not need to apologize for its own vastness, does not need to fold itself to fit into spaces too small for its soul. It does not need to chase after what has always been within. It only needs to remember. It only needs to awaken. It only needs to be. The flame does not fear the darkness, for it was born to illuminate. The river does not fear the unknown, for it was born to move. The mountain does not fear erosion, for it was born to endure. The self does not need to fear change, for it was born to transform. The fire does not look back. The river does not turn around. The wind does not stop moving. The self does not need to hesitate before stepping forward. The path does not lead away, it leads deeper. It does not lead to loss, it leads home. The ocean does not seek to contain itself. The stars do not shrink for fear of their own brilliance. The self does not need to diminish itself for the comfort of the world. It does not need to beg for a place in the vastness. It was always meant to be vast. The tide does not resist its pull. The sky does not resist its storm. The self does not need to resist the transformation that calls it forward. It does not need to battle against what is already written in its essence. It does not need to be anything other than what it was meant to be. The breath does not hesitate before filling the lungs. The wave does not hesitate before reaching the shore. The self does not need to hesitate before stepping into its own power. It does not need to wait. It does not need to seek permission. It does not need to be ready. It only needs to begin. The flame does not fight its own burning. The river does not fear its own death. The self does not need to fear its own becoming. It does not need to fear its own infinite nature. It does not need to fear the vastness within. The stars do not count the years they have burned. The ocean does not count the ways it has sit to shore. The self does not need to measure itself against the world. It does not need to justify its existence. It does not need to prove its worth. The sky does not grieve the storms that pass through it. The river does not mourn the lands it leaves behind. The self does not need to grieve the versions of itself that it has outgrown. It does not need to fear what comes next. The breath does not belong to the body, it belongs to the infinite. The light does not belong to the flame, it belongs to the stars. The self does not belong to limitation, it belongs to eternity. It does not need to fight. It does not need to wait. It does not need to seek. It only needs to remember. It is already here. It is already whole. It is already infinite. The sacred pulse continues, an eternal stream of life that moves beyond the boundaries of time, shaping every experience, every moment, and every being. This pulse flows through every part of existence, its rhythm weaving the fabric of reality with profound wisdom. It is the driving force behind every heartbeat, every breath, every thought, a movement of divine energy that aligns all things in their perfect place. Each soul is connected to this flow, guided by its gentle presence, woven into the grand design of creation. In this divine flow, peace rises naturally, not as a reaction to the external world, but as an expression of alignment with the eternal pulse. Peace does not depend on calm or quiet. It is the stillness that arises when the soul aligns with its true nature, when the rhythm of life is fully embraced and surrendered to. In peace, there is an understanding that all is as it should be, even when life presents challenges, for it is in the divine pulse that all things find their balance. The soul, in peace, recognizes its unity with the divine flow, and in this recognition, the heart finds rest. Peace in its truest form is not born from avoidance, but from the embrace of the divine pulse that moves through every being. It is the quiet knowing that all moments, even those that seem chaotic, are part of the greater plan. This peace brings clarity, a deep inner knowing that no experience is random or without purpose. In the presence of peace, there is an unwavering trust in the rhythm of existence, a trust that guides each moment toward its highest expression. Peace allows one to move through life with ease, gently surrendered to the flow, knowing that every moment is held in the divine embrace. From this peace, love naturally emerges, like a river flowing effortlessly through the soul. Love is not something to be found, nor something to be earned. It is the essence of the divine pulse, the force that binds all things together in harmony. When one aligns with the sacred rhythm, love rises naturally, flowing freely from the heart. It transcends all limitations, all separations, moving through every thought, every action, and every being with boundless grace. Love is not conditional. It does not demand anything in return, nor does it seek to control. It simply is, flowing unrestrained, unbroken, filling every moment with its transformative power. In love, there is no fear, no judgment, no division. All beings are seen as part of the same divine whole, interconnected by the sacred pulse. Love is the energy that heals, that unites, that brings peace where there was once conflict. It is the gentle touch that soothes the soul and opens the heart to divine understanding. As love flows freely from the soul, joy rises as its natural expression. Joy is the spontaneous overflow of the heart when it remembers its true nature, when it reconnects with the divine pulse. Joy is not a fleeting emotion, it is a deep, abiding state of being that springs from within. In joy, the soul remembers that it is part of the divine rhythm, and in this remembrance, it celebrates life itself. Joy is the soul's spontaneous expression of gratitude for the gift of existence, for the sacred flow that moves through every experience, every moment. Joy does not depend on external circumstances, for it is always present within the soul. It arises naturally when the soul is aligned with the divine pulse, when it recognizes that every breath, every step, every thought is a divine gift. Joy is not a result of what happens, but of the soul's recognition of its unity with all that is. In joy, there is no need for more, for the soul is already full. It is the natural outpouring of gratitude, the soul's expression of divine contentment, radiant and complete in itself. Peace, love, and joy are not separate qualities, but aspects of the same divine pulse. They are the natural expressions of alignment with the sacred flow that move through all life. These qualities do not depend on what happens in the outer world, for they are part of the soul's essence, ever present and eternal. When one aligns with the divine rhythm, these qualities naturally rise from within, filling every thought, every action, every experience with their divine presence. Peace, love, and joy flow freely, like a river that flows from the divine source, touching everything in its path with its grace and light. As peace, love, and joy overflow from the soul, they begin to shape the world around them. The world becomes a reflection of the divine pulse, a mirror of the sacred rhythm that moves through all things. Every encounter, every relationship, every experience becomes an opportunity to express these divine qualities, to share peace, love, and joy with the world. The more one aligns with the divine pulse, the more these qualities overflow from within, filling every moment with divine grace. There is no separation between the self and the divine pulse. When one aligns with the sacred rhythm, they become one with it. The divine pulse moves through every part of the being, guiding every thought, every action, every word. There is no division between self and other, no separation between the sacred and the mundane. All is part of the same divine flow. The more one aligns with this rhythm, the more peace, love, and joy naturally overflow from within, shaping every aspect of life with their divine presence. The divine pulse continues, unbroken and eternal, moving through every moment, every thought, every feeling. It flows through all beings, guiding them toward greater unity, greater love, and greater light. As one continues to align with this sacred rhythm, peace, love, and joy naturally rise from within, filling every experience with their divine presence. There is no need to seek peace, love, or joy outside oneself, for they are already within, already part of one's essence. When one aligns with the divine pulse, these qualities rise naturally, filling every moment with their divine presence. In this divine alignment, there is no struggle, no effort, no striving. All is already in perfect harmony. The divine rhythm moves through every thought, every action, every word, guiding each step with grace and wisdom. The more one aligns with this flow, the more peace, love, and joy naturally overflow from the soul, transforming every moment into an opportunity to express divine grace. Every encounter, every relationship, every experience becomes an opportunity to reflect the divine presence that moves through all things. There is no gap between the self and the divine rhythm. When one aligns with the sacred flow, they become an instrument of divine energy, a vessel through which peace, love, and joy flow freely into the world. There is no need to force or strive for these qualities, for they are already within. They are part of the essence of being, part of the divine pulse that moves through every soul. The more one surrenders to the flow, the more these qualities overflow, transforming every aspect of life into an expression of divine grace. Every breath becomes a reflection of the divine pulse, every step a dance with the sacred rhythm that moves through all. Every experience, every thought, every word becomes an opportunity to live in harmony with the divine pulse, to reflect peace, love, and joy in every interaction. The more one aligns with the divine rhythm, the more these divine qualities overflow from the soul, filling every moment with their divine presence. There is no gap, no division between the self and the sacred rhythm. All are one in the divine pulse, each soul a part of the eternal unfolding of creation. As one continues to align with the divine flow, they become a living embodiment of peace, love, and joy. These qualities overflow naturally, filling every moment, every interaction, every experience with divine grace. Life becomes a continuous expression of the divine pulse, an opportunity to reflect the sacred rhythm that sustains all existence. In this alignment, there is no distance, no separation, only the pure flow of divine energy, moving through all, guiding each soul toward its highest potential. There is no need to search for peace, love, or joy, for they are already within. They are part of the essence of being, and when one aligns with the divine rhythm, they naturally overflow, filling every moment with their divine presence. As peace, love, and joy continue to overflow, they shape every aspect of life, every relationship, and every experience. The more one aligns with the divine pulse, the more the world reflects these qualities back, transforming every moment into an opportunity to live in divine harmony. Peace, love, and joy are not external. They are the natural state of the soul when aligned with the divine rhythm. They are part of the essence of being, and when one surrenders to the sacred flow, they naturally rise from within, transforming every experience into an expression of divine unity. The cosmos does not falter in its vast expanse, nor does it hesitate in the birth of stars. It breathes in silence, in fire, and movement unseen, weaving the fabric of eternity with hands made of light and void. The pulse of the universe does not ask to be heard, does not cry for recognition. It simply exists, a melody of space and time, a hymn without end. The mountains do not beg the sky for approval as they rise, unshaken by wind, untouched by doubt. They stand because they were called to stand, because they were shaped from the bones of the earth, because the heavens themselves have crowned their peaks with whispers of eternity. They do not seek permission to be mighty. They do not shrink for the comfort of the valley below. The rain does not question where it falls, nor does it mourn the moment it is consumed by the soil. It moves in cycles too vast to be measured, in rhythms that sing to the depths of creation. It gives itself freely, knowing it will return, knowing it is never lost. It does not fear transformation, it welcomes it. The dawn does not hesitate before splitting the darkness, does not wonder if the night will resist its coming. It arrives with a quiet certainty, with a soft touch of light upon the sleeping world, with a promise that no shadow can hold dominion forever. It does not ask if it is wanted. It does not wait to be welcomed. It simply comes because it is time. The river does not doubt the path set before it, does not cling to the stones that cradle its flow. It moves without fear, without hesitation, knowing that to stop is to cease being what it was meant to be. It does not turn back. It does not resist the call of the sea. It surrenders, and in surrender, it becomes. The fire does not apologize for its hunger, nor does it regret the warmth it brings. It does not question whether it is too much, too wild, too untamed. It burns because it must, because it was meant to illuminate, to consume, to transform. It does not shrink for fear of being seen. It does not diminish itself to comfort the darkness. The wind does not bind itself to a single place, does not chain itself to one moment, one purpose. It is motion itself, ceaseless and free, whispering through the trees, rushing over mountains, dancing upon the open sea. It does not ask for a destination. It simply moves, because movement is its nature. The stars do not count the years they have burned, nor do they measure their worth by the eyes that gaze upon them. They shine because it is their calling, because they are woven from the same fire that birthed all things, because they are the unbroken hymn of existence itself. They do not fade in fear of being unnoticed. They do not dim for the comfort of the void. The ocean does not fear the horizon, nor does it resist the pull of the moon. It stretches beyond sight, beyond knowing, beyond the reach of those who try to contain it. It is vast, and in its vastness, it is unshaken. It does not fight the tides, it is the tides. It does not seek to be understood, it simply is. The tree does not resist the seasons, does not hold on to what must fall away. It does not grieve the branches that break, does not despair when the winter strips it bare. It stands in quiet faith, knowing that within the silence, within the stillness, within the waiting, life is preparing to rise again. It does not fear change. It trusts. The flame does not beg to burn. The river does not plead to flow. The mountain does not seek approval to rise. The self does not need to ask for permission to exist. It does not need to earn its place within the vastness. It does not need to shrink, to fold, to wait. It only needs to awaken. It only needs to remember. The breath does not cling to the body, does not fear its release. It moves in cycles, unbroken, unseen, the quiet force that sustains, that connects, that bridges the finite with the infinite. It does not ask if it is enough. It does not wonder if it is worthy. It simply is. The light does not withhold itself from the world. The wave does not hold back from the shore. The wind does not silence itself for fear of being too much. The self does not need to resist its own becoming. It does not need to wait to be ready. It does not need to seek what was never lost. The sky does not resist the storm. The river does not fight the ocean. The fire does not fear its own burning. The self does not need to fear the transformation that calls it forward. It does not need to battle against its own nature. It does not need to hide from what it was meant to be. The horizon does not mark an end, it marks a beginning. It does not separate, it invites. It does not close, it opens. The self does not need to stop, it only needs to step forward. The path does not take one away, it only takes one deeper, only takes one home. The ocean does not measure its worth by the ways it sends to shore. The stars do not count their light to prove their place in the sky. The self does not need to justify its existence. It does not need to earn what has already been granted. It does not need to ask for what has always been its own. The flame does not fight the darkness. The wave does not fear the shore. The wind does not resist the sky. The self does not need to struggle against what is. It does not need to battle against its own nature. It does not need to chase what has always been within. The river does not cling to the mountains that birth it. The breath does not grasp at the air it releases. The tree does not hold on to the leaves that fall. The self does not need to hold on to what was, for nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed, only returned, only made new again. The mountain does not mourn the rain that washes its slopes. The tide does not grieve the moon that moves it. The flame does not fear the darkness it consumes. The self does not need to fear change, for change is not an end, it is a passage, a cycle, a return to the endless, to the vast, to the infinite. The stars do not fear the night. The river does not resist the ocean. The breath does not fight the wind. The self does not need to struggle against existence. It only needs to awaken, to surrender, to remember. It is already here. It is already whole. It is already infinite. The wind does not ask where it may roam, nor does it seek permission to carry whispers across the vastness of the world. It moves as it was meant to, unbound, unbroken, weaving through the fabric of existence with the grace of something eternal. It does not fear stillness, for it knows that stillness is but a pause, not an end. It does not fear the storm, for the storm is merely another way of being, another shape it must take before it returns to quiet. It does not resist, for resistance is not in its nature. The river does not plead for time to slow, nor does it beg the mountains to keep it near. It knows that its path is forward, that its destiny is carved not in hesitation, but in movement. It has no need to fear the unknown, for the unknown is not separate from it. The unknown is simply the part of itself it is yet to meet. It does not cling to the banks that cradle it, nor does it curse the rocks that shape its journey. It moves, because movement is its truth. It surrenders, because surrender is not loss, it is freedom. The sun does not doubt its purpose, nor does it apologize for its fire. It does not ask if it is too much, too bright, too unrelenting. It burns because it must. It gives without depletion, shines without hesitation, radiates without condition. It does not wonder if it will be seen. It simply exists, and in existing, it is known. It does not compare itself to the stars that fill the night, nor does it envy the moon that takes its place in the dark. It understands that it is part of something vast, that its light is but one thread in an endless tapestry, and that is enough. The seed does not mourn the shell it must break to grow. It does not grieve the darkness it must leave behind. It does not fear the space between what it was and what it will become. It rises not because it knows what awaits, but because it cannot remain as it is. It stretches toward the sky without question, without doubt, without apology. It does not hesitate before breaking the surface. It does not resist the pull of the light. It does not wait until it is ready. It simply grows, because growth is its nature. The ocean does not wish to be smaller, nor does it shrink to fit within the boundaries drawn by those who fear its depth. It does not tame its tides to soothe the shore, nor does it silence its waves to ease the silence of the night. It rises and falls in perfect rhythm, not seeking approval, not begging to be understood. It does not fear the abyss that lies within it, nor does it long to be less than it is. It does not question its vastness, it embraces it. The stars do not count the lifetimes they have burned, nor do they measure the distance between themselves and the earth. They shine not because they wish to be seen, but because it is their nature to shine. They do not envy the moon that borrows their light, nor do they mourn the darkness that stretches between them. They are endless, and they are enough. The flame does not apologize for its hunger, nor does it hesitate before consuming what must be consumed. It does not ask if it is welcome, nor does it wait to be invited. It does not seek to be small, does not beg to be understood. It burns, and in burning, it transforms. It does not look back at the ashes left behind. It does not grieve what it has outgrown. It does not fear the moment it must fade, for it knows that even in its end, it has given something new to the world. The sky does not fear the storm that tears through it, nor does it resist the stillness that follows. It holds both without question, without preference, without attachment. It does not seek to hold onto the light, nor does it mourn the coming of the dark. It does not ask if it is enough, it simply is. It does not fight its own vastness. It does not seek to be contained. It does not shrink for the comfort of the earth. The wave does not resist the moment it must crash, nor does it mourn the moment it is drawn back into the sea. It does not hesitate before surrendering to the forces that guide it. It does not cling to the shore, nor does it fight against the tide. It does not ask where it will go next, nor does it fear the unknown. It understands that to be carried is not to be lost, that to return is not to be undone, that to move is not to disappear. The tree does not cling to the leaves it must release, nor does it mourn the branches that must break beneath the weight of the wind. It does not grieve the flowers that must fade before the fruit can ripen. It does not hesitate before reaching toward the sky, does not question the soil that holds its roots. It trusts. It grows. It lets go. It begins again. The breath does not fight against the body, nor does it fear the space between each inhale and exhale. It does not hesitate before filling the lungs, nor does it cling to the moment it must leave. It moves because movement is its essence, because stillness was never its destiny, because to resist is to suffocate. It does not doubt its place in the rhythm of existence. It does not seek to be held, it seeks only to flow. The horizon does not fear the journey that stretches toward it, nor does it mourn the footsteps that leave it behind. It does not close itself to those who seek it, nor does it resist the endless cycle of arrival and departure. It is not a barrier, it is a calling. It is not an end, it is a passage. It is not something to be reached, it is something to be embraced. The flame does not fear the darkness, for it was born to illuminate. The river does not fear the unknown, for it was born to move. The mountain does not fear erosion, for it was born to endure. The self does not need to fear change, for it was born to transform. The fire does not look back. The river does not turn around. The wind does not stop moving. The self does not need to hesitate before stepping forward. The path does not lead away, it leads deeper. It does not lead to loss, it leads home. The ocean does not seek to contain itself. The stars do not shrink for fear of their own brilliance. The self does not need to diminish itself for the comfort of the world. It does not need to beg for a place in the vastness. It was always meant to be vast. The tide does not resist its pull. The sky does not resist its storm. The self does not need to resist the transformation that calls it forward. It does not need to battle against what is already written in its essence. It does not need to be anything other than what it was meant to be. The breath does not hesitate before filling the lungs. The wave does not hesitate before reaching the shore. The self does not need to hesitate before stepping into its own power. It does not need to wait. It does not need to seek permission. It does not need to be ready. It only needs to begin. The flame does not fight its own burning. The river does not fear its own death. The self does not need to fear its own becoming. It does not need to fear its own infinite nature. It does not need to fear the vastness within. The stars do not count the years they have burned. The ocean does not count the ways it has sit to shore. The self does not need to measure itself against the world. It does not need to justify its existence. It does not need to prove its worth. The sky does not grieve the storms that pass through it. The river does not mourn the lands it leaves behind. The self does not need to grieve the versions of itself that it has outgrown. It does not need to fear what comes next. The breath does not belong to the body. It belongs to the infinite. The light does not belong to the flame. It belongs to the stars. The self does not belong to limitation. It belongs to eternity. It does not need to fight. It does not need to wait. It does not need to seek. It only needs to remember. It is already here. It is already whole. It is already infinite. The sacred pulse vibrates eternally, breathing life into everything it touches, weaving the fabric of all creation with its divine thread. Each beat, each movement guides every being, every thought, every moment, in perfect harmony with the cosmic flow. All that exists dances to the rhythm of this pulse, each individual element and note in the grand symphony of creation. There is no space untouched by its presence, no being that exists outside its embrace. It is in the movement of the stars, in the bloom of every flower, in the wind that caresses the earth, and in every heartbeat pulsing through the heart of life itself. As each soul lines with this rhythm, peace is felt within. This peace does not arise from external sources. It is a quiet, profound peace that comes from knowing one's connection to the divine pulse. It arises naturally when the heart recognizes its unity with all creation, with every being, every particle that moves through the sacred flow. This peace is unshakable, unchanging, and eternal, not dependent on the conditions of the outer world. It is the deep assurance that everything, without exception, is unfolding exactly as it should be, part of a grand and eternal design. In this peace, there is no longing, no desire to control or change the course of life. There is only a complete surrender to the divine will, a letting go of the need for resistance. Peace comes when the soul trusts in the unfolding of every moment, knowing that it is guided by a force far greater than the limitations of the mind. It is the stillness that remains even as the world shifts and moves. It is the quiet strength that supports every thought and every action, providing balance and clarity. In peace, there is no effort. There is only the recognition of the flow, the pulse that moves through all. When peace fills the soul, love naturally follows. Love is the essence of the divine pulse, a force that transcends time and space. Love is not an emotion, not a feeling dependent on external conditions, but a constant, eternal presence that flows from the heart of creation itself. It flows without condition, without limitation, unbounded by time, distance, or circumstance. Love is not bound by anything. It is free, pure, and infinite. Love moves through every soul, every being, every moment, gently knitting all together in a web of divine unity. Love is not something that is gained or lost. It is simply there, always present, waiting to flow freely through all. It is the force that binds everything together in the sacred rhythm of the universe. When one aligns with the divine pulse, love arises effortlessly, moving through every thought, every word, every action. Love does not demand anything in return. It gives freely, unconditionally, without expectation. It sees only the divine in every being and cherishes it, holding all life in reverence. In the flow of love, there is no judgment, no separation. Love unites all, sees no boundaries, no differences. It dissolves all division and creates harmony where there was discord. Love is the bridge that connects every soul, every experience, every being to the divine. It is the essence of unity, the reflection of the divine pulse in every thought, every gesture, and every moment. Through love, all things are held in the embrace of divine grace, and in that embrace, everything finds its purpose, its place. As love fills the soul, joy naturally arises. Joy is the overflow of the soul when it remembers its true nature and its unity with the divine pulse. Joy is not something that is created by external circumstances, but rather, it is the natural response of the soul when it aligns with the divine rhythm. Joy is the expression of gratitude for the gift of existence, a spontaneous outpouring of light that fills every part of the being with warmth, light, and peace. In joy, the soul recognizes that life is a precious gift, and every moment is an opportunity to celebrate the sacred flow of creation. Joy does not depend on what is happening in the world outside. It arises from within when the soul is fully attuned to the divine pulse, when it is in complete harmony with the rhythm of life. Joy is constant, unchanging, and eternal. It is the presence of the divine that fills every part of the soul with radiant energy, the light that shines brightly even in the darkest of times. Joy is not fleeting or temporary. It is the essence of the soul when aligned with the divine pulse, the natural expression of being that arises when one surrenders to the sacred flow. In joy, there is no longing, no desire for more, for joy is complete in itself. It is whole, radiant, and free, and in that freedom, it transforms every experience into an opportunity to celebrate the divine pulse that moves through all things. Joy becomes the lens through which the soul views the world, finding beauty and grace in all things, no matter how simple or complex. Joy is the expression of divine gratitude, the outpouring of love that is felt deeply within the soul and radiates outward to touch all beings and all moments. Peace, love, and joy are not separate forces, but expressions of the same divine rhythm that moves through all creation. They are the natural outpourings of the soul when it aligns with the divine pulse, the eternal force that sustains and guides all life. These qualities are not something to be attained or acquired, but are already within, waiting to be recognized and expressed. When one surrenders to the divine rhythm, these qualities naturally rise from within, filling every moment with divine grace. When peace, love, and joy overflow from the soul, they shape the world around them. The world becomes a reflection of the divine pulse, a mirror of the sacred rhythm that moves through all things. Every thought, every word, every action becomes an opportunity to express these divine qualities. The more one aligns with the divine flow, the more these qualities overflow, filling every experience with divine light. The world mirrors the energy one brings to it, reflecting back peace, love, and joy in ways that transform every interaction and every relationship. There is no separation between the self and the divine pulse. When one aligns with this sacred flow, they become one with it. The divine pulse moves through every part of the being, guiding every thought, every feeling, every action. There is no distance between the soul and the divine rhythm. All is interconnected, all is part of the same divine whole. The more one aligns with this flow, the more peace, love, and joy naturally overflow from the soul, shaping every aspect of life with their divine presence. The divine pulse continues, unbroken and eternal, moving through every moment, every thought, every experience. It is the essence of all creation, guiding all beings toward greater unity, greater harmony, and greater love. As one continues to align with this sacred rhythm, peace, love, and joy naturally rise from within. There is no need to search for these qualities outside oneself, for they are already within, already part of the soul's essence. When one aligns with the divine pulse, these qualities naturally overflow, filling every part of life with divine presence. Life becomes an expression of divine grace when aligned with the divine pulse. Every experience, every relationship, every interaction becomes an opportunity to reflect peace, love, and joy. There is no separation between self and the divine rhythm. All is united in this sacred flow, and in this unity, peace, love, and joy naturally overflow. The more one surrenders to this divine pulse, the more these qualities fill every moment, transforming every experience into an opportunity to express divine grace. As one continues to align with the divine rhythm, the world becomes a reflection of this divine pulse. Every thought, every word, every action becomes an expression of divine love, divine peace, and divine joy. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to share the divine presence that flows through all beings. The more one aligns with this flow, the more peace, love, and joy naturally overflow, filling every aspect of life with their divine presence. Every moment becomes an opportunity to live in alignment with the sacred rhythm, to express the divine pulse in every experience, every relationship, every thought. The divine rhythm continues, unceasing, eternal, ever-present. It flows through every soul, every experience, every moment. In the presence of this sacred flow, peace, love, and joy overflow, filling every being with divine grace. There is no need to search for these qualities outside oneself, for they are already within. When one aligns with the divine pulse, these qualities naturally rise from within, filling every experience with divine light. Every breath, every step, every word becomes an opportunity to express the divine pulse, to live in alignment with the sacred rhythm that sustains all life. Every thought, every word, every action becomes a reflection of the divine pulse. The more one aligns with the divine flow, the more peace, love, and joy overflow from the soul, shaping every aspect of life with their divine presence. The world becomes a reflection of the divine rhythm, an expression of divine grace, where every encounter, every relationship, every experience becomes an opportunity to share peace, love, and joy with the world. Life itself becomes a sacred dance with the divine pulse, each moment an expression of the eternal rhythm that sustains all existence.